Welcome back to Sports Class with Dr. K. Fall is here, and that can mean only one thing. In a few weeks, Michigan will get beat by Ohio State. Which college football rivalry is the greatest? Auburn versus Alabama? USC versus Notre Dame? Florida State? Arguments could be made for any of these, but there's no doubt Michigan versus Ohio State is one of college football's greatest rivalries. Maybe the greatest, depending on how you think about it. For nearly a century, the Big Ten Championship has run through this one game, and the winner of this game has an inside track for some of college football's biggest bowl games, and most recently, the National Championship. Of course, everyone knows Ohio State has had the better of it in recent years, but historically, this has been a pretty evenly matched rivalry. Each of these teams has enjoyed stretches of dominance and is pretty even overall. So in this lesson, we're going to take a closer look at this historic college football rivalry. The University of Michigan can stake a legitimate claim to the greatest college football program in the country. In fact, they have won more games than any other team, more than 950 wins. And they stake a claim to 11 national championships. Now, in fairness, we should note 4 of those championships came prior to 1905, when college football was just getting organized, and all but one of those championships comes prior to 1950. So recently, they haven't had the greatness that Ohio State and other programs might claim. Michigan also has 3 Heisman winners and claims 83 consensus All-Americans in their history. And as one bonus note, they also claim a man who would go on to become president, Gerald Ford, as one of their great all-time players. Much of Michigan's glory came in the early years. In more recent decades, we could make a case for the Ohio State Buckeyes. They also have won more than 900 games total in their history and stake a claim to 8 national championships themselves, including 1 in the playoff era. They also claim 7 Heisman Trophy winners and 85 consensus All-Americans. So these two teams are pretty even by many of those records. Perhaps most noteworthy, though, Ohio State has won the 7 most recent games between these two. The University of Michigan was established in 1817 and has grown to be one of the largest universities in the country, with about 45,000 students enrolled and more than 500,000 alumni throughout the country. The football team started play in 1879 and was one of the founding members of the Big Ten Conference in 1896. Michigan had some dominant years of football early in the 20th century. In 1901, Fielding Yost was appointed head coach at the University of Michigan, and he launched into one of the most remarkable coaching careers in the history of this rivalry. Yost won his first 55 games, going 55-0, and in that first season, Michigan was undefeated, outscoring opponents 550-0. Yost didn't lose a game until his 5th year as coach, losing the last game in that season to the Chicago Maroons 2-0. That's right, the Chicago Maroons, whoever that is. By the way, why are the Wolverines named after an animal that isn't even native to that state? Well, there are a number of different theories. Coach Fielding Yost used to claim that it went back to the fur traders who settled in Michigan and traded with the Native Americans for furs that came from the far reaches of northern Canada, including wolverine skins. In fact, the traders in that era came to be known as the Michigan Wolverines, after those pelts. Other people claim it was because of the eating habits of the early settlers in Michigan, who apparently ate like the gluttonous animal, the wolverine. It's not very flattering, but it's one theory. In any case, this tough, rugged animal makes for a good mascot. In the meantime, Ohio State's program was just getting off the ground, and Michigan certainly had the better of it in the early going of this rivalry, going 12-0-2 in the first 14 matchups. Ohio State University was founded in 1870 as a land-grant university. What else happened in 1870, you wonder? Well, construction began on the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, which was finished in 1883. Ohio State University is another huge university, claiming 66,000 students, or thereabouts, and also more than 500,000 alumni around the country. So vast is their hubris that Ohio State University recently claimed the trademark on the word "the," as in the Ohio State University. Good luck with that. Ohio State finally got in the game in this series when they managed to recruit one of the best running backs in the country, Charles "Chick" Harley from Columbus, Ohio, in 1916. One sports writer described Harley's running style as a cross between music and cannon fire, and it brought your heart up under your ears. Finally, in Harley's senior season, a career which was broken up by the years of World War I, Harley led the Buckeyes to their first victory over the Wolverines in 1919, 13-2. From that point to today, the series has been much more even. By the way, what is up with that Buckeye? Ohio has long been known as the Buckeye State because that tree was so abundant in the state. But why have a nut as the mascot of a major college football team? That decision was made in 1965 at the suggestion of an Ohio State student who suggested the Buckeye because everybody has an animal as their mascot, so we should have a nut. Brutus Buckeye, though, has gone on to become one of the most famous college mascots, and the Buckeye emblem gained recent fame in an ESPN commercial. Buckeye! The rivalry reached its peak in the 10 years between 1969 and 1978, when the Buckeyes were coached by Woody Hayes and the Wolverines by Bo Schembechler. Woody Hayes, who coached the Buckeyes for 28 seasons and won 13 Big Ten championships and 5 national championships, elevated the program to new heights. He was also very controversial. Woody Hayes was known to break equipment in the locker room, launch into tirades against his players, and throw things on the field, in the locker room, and just about anywhere. He was even known to punch himself in the face on numerous occasions. No yard line marker was safe when Woody Hayes was near. You might also remember that Woody Hayes' career came to an inglorious end when he punched a Clemson football player at the end of the 1978 Gator Bowl. In the last 10 years of his coaching career, Woody Hayes led the Buckeyes against Bo Schembechler and the Wolverines. Schembechler is Michigan's most accomplished head coach. He started out actually as a player and then an assistant coach under Woody Hayes, so he knew Hayes' methods well and was very much influenced by him. Bo coached the Wolverines for 21 seasons and won 13 Big Ten titles, but no national titles. In the 10 seasons they faced each other, the Big Ten was sometimes called the Big Two and the Little Eight, because one of these two teams won every conference title, and they usually finished 1-2 during those years. Bo actually finished those years with a slight edge on his mentor with a 5-4-1 record in those games, including victories in the final 3 matchups. Even if you have no love for either of these teams, any college football fan will recognize they have some great traditions. From the Ohio State band Dotting the I to Michigan's famous fight song. From the Big House to the game. This rivalry is indeed one of college football's greatest. So, while Ohio State has owned this rivalry of late, let's see if Jim Harbaugh can get things turned around for the Wolverines. If you have a favorite moment from this rivalry, let me know about it in the comments. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. I think we have a caller. Welcome to Sports Class with Dr. K.
Hi, Dr. K. I'm a huge fan.
Welcome.
I think you should be on ESPN. Anyway, are you going to make a video about Northwestern versus Ohio State?
Not likely.